Welcome back everyone, this is Mondo All Day, back to another video. And in this video, I'll be doing an overview of Batman the Hush Saga Omnibus. I'll be talking about a little bit of the stories, the art, and of course if it's worth your purchase or not. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on our support channel, put the key up to date, and watch videos like this. So let's take a look at front of the dust jacket, the spine, the back, and I'll show you a full spread image of the dust jacket. Side, the front of the book, the spine, the back, and of course a full spread image of the book itself. Alright, now let's take a look at what's inside. So what is this book about? So the first story, and I say first story because there's a lot of stories in here, but the first story is going to be about a new mysterious villain that's arrived at Gotham City. And this new villain has causing a lot of havoc, not only within Gotham, but also for Batman and Bruce. Now, as the story progresses, Batman finds out who this new villain is, which we all know it's going to be Hush, hence why the title of the book. But it's basically going to be Hush, and now Batman has to figure out Hush's new plan, but more importantly, how much does he know about Batman? And that is the gist of the first story. There's more to it. I don't want to say too much. Ooh, very nice image on here. There's more to it. And as I mentioned, there is various stories on here. But with that said, regarding the first story, it is fantastic. This whole book, it is top notch. Now, as I mentioned, this book has multiple stories because the first story is going to be about Hush, introducing Hush to the Batman universe. And that first story itself, it's solid, it's good, but one thing is a standard, it's going to be the art, which I'll talk about more in that in a bit. But the first story itself is just introduction to Hush, and just kind of showing how he is deadly, he's a deadly force, you know. And the rest of the stories that do connect really, really does display how deadly Hush can be. Because Hush within this book here, it really showcases that, one, he's not only scary and mean, but also he's smart. Because, well, I don't want to spoil it too much if you don't know, but I'll just say Hush is Bruce Wayne's friend from they were kids, and that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil it. And in this book here, it really does showcase how deadly Hush can be. I mean, not only he's really, really smart, maybe not as like combative in terms of fighting skills compared to Batman, but he can go toe to toe a little bit. But more importantly, since he knows the secret identity of Batman, it really, really challenges Batman. That's one thing I do love about this book, is that Hush really does challenge Batman, confusing Batman, questioning his actions, questioning, wait, does he really know who the true identity for Hush is? But more importantly, there's times where Batman gets tricked, and easily gets manipulated. And that's what I like about this book. It really, really showcases how Hush is a deadly force, man. This book really cemented how Hush is someone you don't want to mess with, because he's extremely smart. Again, I don't want to say too much, I'll spoil it, but he's able to use a lot of the villains within Gotham, like the Joker, Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Joker, Clayface, and others as well too, who use them to their advantage, so that way he can go up against Batman and just seek revenge. I say revenge because I don't want to say too much, because I'll spoil it, but within the book, if you read this book, which I highly recommend you do, but when you read it, you understand why Hush is the way he is, how he treats certain characters the way he does. I know I'm sounding very vague, it's because there's some stuff on here that he does where it's just like petty stuff. For example, one of the stories on here where Hush gets surgery done, and again, it just shows you how crazy he is, but he gets surgery done so he can look like Bruce Wayne. And when he does that, people think, oh, it's Bruce Wayne. And so what he ends up doing is going out in public, pretending to be Bruce Wayne, and using up some of the resources, aka the money that Bruce Wayne has, and funds a certain company. This company is very well known. If you know the lore of Batman, you know what I'm referring to. I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil it, but it's very, very pity. And I guarantee you read that portion of the book, you're going to be like, wow, really? And hey, he went there, and it just shows you how obsessive Hush is towards Bruce Wayne and Batman. Like how he's really, really wants to seek revenge and hurt Batman and Bruce Wayne. Not kill. Well, he says he wants to kill, but you can tell he doesn't really want to kill Batman or Bruce Wayne. He really wants to make them suffer. He really wants to drag out that killing blow, and it just shown throughout this whole entire book. There's one part of the book where he hires someone to help him out, go up against Batman. I don't want to say who, because I'll spoil it. There's another part too where Hush captures. I don't want to say too much. I'll spoil it, but I'll just say this: he captures this particular someone and goes after Bruce Wayne's heart. I'll just leave it like that. If you know what I'm referring to, there you go. He also captures Alfred as well too. Why? Because he really wants Bruce Wayne and Batman to suffer. And this book nails that. It just showcases and displays his obsession, and he's willing to go above and beyond, use up anything at all, any resources he can, as long as it can hurt Bruce Wayne and Batman. Hush will do that. And this book is phenomenal with that. Apart from the art itself, just showcasing how deadly Hush can be, it is just top notch. And the fact that he is able to trick and question Bruce Wayne or Batman. Again, you don't get a lot of that stories on here. A lot of the comic book stories, especially when they go up against Batman, it's more like the combative, maybe some 2 steps ahead. But in this particular book, no, Hush is like several steps ahead of Bruce Wayne and Batman, and just seeing Batman struggle, I'm telling you, read this book, you know exactly what I'm referring to, man. And I really like this book. Now, it does backfire on Hush, which I won't say too much, but as I mentioned, Hush does get surgery done so he could look like Bruce Wayne, and it does backfire on him, especially towards the end. I won't say too much of the story, but there's a story to where there's a particular villain that appears, and this villain is going out and seeking revenge against Bruce Wayne. And since Hush now is Bruce Wayne, right? Kind of Bruce Wayne. So now Hush has to go up against this particular villain. I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but it does backfire on him. But at the end of the day, Hush does not care, because at the end of the day, Hush only wants one thing, and one thing only, is to make Bruce Wayne and Batman suffer. And by all means, he's willing to do that. And it's one of those, if you read this book, you're going to be like, damn, this guy's obsessed with just seeking revenge. But it makes sense because they really go in depth and tell his origin story when he was a child, about his, you know, how he was raised, how his parents compared him to Bruce Wayne a lot, how basically his parents never really thought he can be successful. I don't want to say too much, I'll spoil it, but it really gives the motivation of Hush, like why he is who he is. Granted, he's a little bit psychotic, but it makes sense within the context of his book. And I think this book just cemented Hush as one of Batman's greatest villains. I know Joker's up there, I know Bane and so forth, but I gotta say, after reading this book, my perception of Hush completely changed. I thought he was just another villain that, with a bit of a history with Bruce Wayne. I'm telling you, by the end of the book, you're gonna be like, okay, Hush, oh man, he is someone you don't want to mess with. But damn, man, he is so damn good for being a Batman villain. And this book completely, I'm blown away. Like by the time I'm reading this book, I'm just like, damn, like I want a whole series. I want the next Batman film by Matt Reeves to make Hush as a villain. So hopefully we'll see that. But anyways, this book, it is just top notch. I'm telling you, if you are doubting yourself or wondering, Mondo, should you get it? I'm kind of going ahead of myself, but yes, 100%, definitely a must buy and must read, because I'm telling you, the stories are near great, and just his obsession is just intense, and it's crazy to see how much he hates Bruce Wayne and Batman, and what he does to go up against Batman and Bruce Wayne. The paper quality, it is an omnibus, so you do get the nice glossy paper, so it does look really, really good. Not as good as the Absolute, but it does look good, though. Do you need to have prior knowledge? Not at all. As long as you know your typical Batman characters, you're perfectly fine. This book introduces you to not only Hush, his origin story, who Hush is, and again, no prior knowledge is needed. The pacing does change. I mean, the first story arc, which is going to be the Hush story, it goes above average. You can read it within like 30 minutes if you're a fast reader. It goes by pretty darn quick. The other stories are also above average. Sometimes it does dip into the average territory, but majority of the time it's going to be above average. The art, the art is good. The first Hush story is Jim Lee art, beautiful, 10 out of 10. The other stories, it's a mixture. Some of you get like something like this regular comic art. Others you get kind of like cartoonish kind of comic art. It still looks good though, regardless. Regardless, the art does look good, but it does change from time to time. So overall, what do I give this book? Easily a thumbs up for me. This is definitely a must buy. Again, the art is top notch. The storytelling is top notch. They're really showcasing how crazy and manipulative Hush is. It's intense. And this, yes, we're here. Perfect example. There's times where Hush goes up against Joker and he calls out the Joker. I don't want to say too much, but then Joker does something to him as well too, and it's intense. It's intense, and it's highly, highly recommended. If you're doubting yourself, if you're like, Mondo, I don't know, trust me, get this book, or you're gonna be in love with this book, and just everything about it, the art, the storytelling, and of course, just Hush itself is just top notch. Now, if you're wondering, Mondo, should you get this or the Absolute? Because there is an Absolute. Personally, I would say try to get both, but if not, if you're tight with budget, get this. Yeah, you don't get the absolute quality paperwork, because I know with the paper you do get a better quality paper with the absolute, but I'm telling you, get this, because this could be probably cheaper, because I know that the absolute Hush has been discontinued, correct me if I'm wrong, and so I'm trying to get that for a fair price. Honestly, I would just skip that and get this, probably get cheaper to get this, but you also get the full Hush Saga. So, to me, out of the two, get the Omnibus. Now, let's take a look at the back of the book. Here we have a little history of Hush. And, of course, the variant covers for a lot of the comics. Of course, Jim Lee art. Look at this. Oof. Sketches on here, Batman. This is a really, really dope art right here. Again, Jim Lee. More Jim Lee with the villains, right? Joker. Riddler, Hush, Poison Ivy, Croc. More art on here. Oof. And that, as they say, is that. Let me know what you guys think. Have you read this book? Do you plan on reading this book? Leave it in the comment section below. As always, make sure to hit the subscribe button to not support channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. This is an overview of Batman the Hush Saga Omnibus, and on to the next one.